In this lesson of the Nile Rodgers series, we're taking a look at the song Let's Dance by David Bowie. This song is absolutely nothing like the others in this series. There's a great video that you should watch where Nile Rodgers talks about how he came up with the idea for this song. He was searching for a new sound and he absolutely achieved that. Most of the chords that he normally uses and the 16th note strumming is out the window. Instead, we've got new voicings to look at and some synchronized delays to play about with. I really wanted to include this song in the playlist because it's such an iconic track and introduces some new elements to work on. So let's get started. So for the intro of this song, we're going to start with 4 different voicings of an E flat dominant 7 chord. Now if you're unfamiliar with any of these voicings, do check out the first video of this series where I go through all the different chord shapes, and also consider downloading the chord diagrams from my Patreon page via the link in the description. So the first one that we're going to be using is a C shape. So this is going to be rooted on the 6th fret of the A string, which is the E flat root note. And remember, to make a C shape into a dominant 7, you've got to get the little finger on the G string as well. All of these chords are going to be palm muted and downstrummed 8th notes for 1 bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The next shape we're going to be using is the probably more familiar A shape, rooted off the same note. Following this, we're going to go back to this C shape, but we're going to use the next inversion up in pitch. So to do this, start with the C shape that we had before, with 3rd finger and little finger on A string and G string, but shift them up 2 strings each. So 3rd finger is now going to pop onto the G string and little finger is on top string. It's exactly the same chord, you're just kind of shifting all the intervals up by 1 voicing. That sounds like this. You might notice that these voicings are all going up in pitch, which kind of helps the crescendo and build-up effect. And the final one is this shape where you do the 1st finger bar. This time it's going to be on the 8th fret. So 1st finger is barring the top 4 strings, with 2nd finger playing the 9th fret. So just 1 fret higher than the 1st finger on the top string, which sounds like this. You can think of this either as a G shape or an A shape. I tend to think of it as an A shape because if you play like a normal kind of A bar chord using a 1st finger, you can stick the 2nd finger on the 3rd fret and get that dominant 7th. So it's just that shape, but slid up to the 8th fret. Use the normal A shape to visualize it. So your 1st finger is replacing that 3rd finger bar. 2nd finger is giving you the dominant 7th. Remember, you've got to get the 1st finger to mute the A string because you don't want that to ring out while you're strumming, or it'll sound really dodgy. That sounds like this. And if we put all 4 of those together, we've got the C shape to the A shape to the C shape with the higher voicing. It's a really tricky change, that one as well. Takes a little bit of practice. And then the A shape up top. And that is the intro of this song. Next, we're going to take a look at the verse, which is probably the part of the song that most people want to learn because it's pretty iconic and pretty unique. There's a big deal with getting the delay right. That's a big part of the song. So we're going to go through the chords first and then we'll put the delay in and get that all synced up with the track. So chords wise, we're using D-shaped chords. The story goes that Nile Rodgers wanted to get away from his usual sound. So rather than doing all the usual strumming with the big bar chords, he threw all the chords up an octave and put this delay in instead and just did like up strums. So that forced him to deviate from his normal style. So the first chord that we're going to be doing is a B flat 7 sus 4. So we need to find the B flat root note. You know that on the bottom string, the 6th fret is the note B flat. And to find an octave, we need to move along 2 frets and up 2 strings. So we've now got the 8th fret on the D string, which is going to be our B flat root note for these D-shaped chords. So the first chord, we've got 1st finger on that 8th fret, 3rd finger is going to go on the 10th fret on the next string, 2nd finger is going to go on the 9th fret on the next string, which is B string, and then little finger is going to pop onto the 11th fret on the top string, and that should sound like this. Now that's a B flat 7 sus4, and for those interested in the chord construction, the little finger is giving you the sus4 on the top. Again, I've got the first finger touching the A string so I don't accidentally strum it and have it ringing out. The next chord is going to be a B flat minor 6. So all we're doing for this one is we're taking the little finger off and we're moving the second finger to the top string. So here we've got first finger on 8th fret, third finger still on the 10th fret of the G. First finger is now barring the B string as well. And then second finger on the 9th fret on the top string. Sounds like this. And it's that first finger bar on the B string that's giving you the 6. That note there sounds pretty dissonant, but when you put them two chords together, then it starts to sound like the song. Okay, the next chord is going to be a G flat 6, a little bit easier to visualize and possibly a little bit more common, this one. So the G flat root note we're going to use is going to be the 9th fret of the A string. First finger is going to pop on there. We're using an A shape for this, by the way, so third finger goes down for that bar. And to get the 6 really easy, all you do is bar the top string as well. Normally when you learn an A-shape chords, to bar the top string would be an accident or a mistake even, but in this case it's what you want because it gives you that kind of jazzy 6 sound. Once again, first finger touching the bottom string so it doesn't ring out. And the final chord is a B flat minor 7 using a D shape. So same root note as before, 8th fret on the D string. This time we're going to be using second finger on 9th fret B, third finger on 9th fret top string, and little finger on 10th fret G. So we're going to have 8, 10, 9, 9. I think that trying to organize the fingers to get this chord right is really difficult. I find it difficult to jump to. So in this song, after you've played the G flat 6, when you've got that little break while the bass is playing, try and get each finger just lined up nicely before you have to strum the chord. That's kind of my approach to it. So if we have a run through that again, we've got the B flat 7 sus 4. Really complicated chords, these ones, but they sound awesome. Sounds like this. Little finger comes off, second finger moves to the top string for the B flat minor 6. Then we've got that G flat 6 using an A shape, so third finger barring the top 4 strings. And then that really tricky change back to the B minor 7. Or B flat minor 7, I should say. And those are the main chords in the verse. Alright, it's time to talk about the delay and the rhythm aspects of this verse now. So I've got my delay set to 265 milliseconds, which if I give you just a percussive hit would sound like this. Now that's going to give you your 8th note count. So 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's going to sync you up with the track nicely. So if I try that with the first chord, the B flat 7 sus 4. Now the rhythm that you have to play is kind of tricky, because you're playing the first beat of the bar, just beat 1, but then you're playing the 4th semiquaver of that beat. So you're playing the 1 and the A. So 1, E and A. I've had to turn the delay off to demonstrate that because it was just sounding all over the place and I'd have to play it at normal speed. So I think he does it all as up strums, so 1, E and A. I do the first one as a down strum and the rest as up strums, but both seem to sound okay, so I wouldn't be too strict on whether you're doing down and up strums for these. Just to get really technical for a second, if you're familiar with dotted 8th delays, this kind of works in the opposite way to that, because with a dotted 8th delay, you'd normally be playing all the 8th notes, just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the delay would fill in the semiquavers in between. But in this case, the delay is filling in the 8th notes and you have to play on the semiquavers. So what it's going to sound like is you're going to hit the chord, you're then going to hear the delay and instantly strum after it. So I have to do this full speed, I can't slow this down, otherwise I'd have to faff about with the delay. So if I get my tempo, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and hopefully you can hear. I strum, hear the delay, instantly strum again, and then that's how I kind of get the pattern. So you're still getting that da 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 da. It's just done the opposite way around to the way that an eighth delay would. The final strum that you're going to do is going to be on beat 3, so halfway through the bar. So you're going to have, without the delay, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Then rest for the next bar, move to the next chord, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. And it continues like that through all 4 chords. As I've mentioned, if I'm going to demonstrate it, I have to do it at full speed and I have to do it with the delay on. So if I get my tempo, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we've got move to the B flat minor 6. Kind of hearing the bass line in my head as I play. Then that minor 7. The bass line parts in the demo and in the medley that I played in the first video in the series, I'm just kind of filling in the like what I hear as the bass part. So you've got like a little chromatic part on the B flat. The descending run on the A string is particularly tasty. It's just like the perfect part to fill that gap. That's just going 6, 4, 3, 1 on the A string. Yeah, obviously if you're playing along with the original track or you're playing it in a band, you wouldn't have to fill in those parts. But if you're just playing it on your own, it does feel a little bit better. You've just got to do a little bit of kind of tapping with the delay to make sure it's on and off in the right places. So if I try and demonstrate that for you, again, I need to get my tempo, otherwise it's going to fall out of sync. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All of this stuff is a lot easier with the track and a lot more fun as well, so do try and get it to the track. You can try slowing it down on YouTube and either turning the delay off or just trying to match the speed with the delay. Maybe if you've got like a tap tempo delay, that would make it a little bit easier. Takes a little bit of work, this one, not gonna lie, to get it all synced up and sounding good, but definitely worth it in the end. Feels really good to play along when you've got it all synced. So that is the verse part. And finally, we're left with the chorus. Much simpler this part, we're just kind of using your normal full bar chord shapes. We're starting with an A flat, rooted on the bottom string, 4th fret. And we've got 2 bars of that. Then we're moving to D flat and E flat, half a bar each. And that's repeated. And then them whole 4 bars are repeated. So we've got A flat, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D flat to E flat, D flat to E flat, and again. If you say run, I'll run with you. Then we're into a new part. We've got A flat again. This time going to an F minor on rooted on the 1st fret of the bottom string. Then back to the D flat on the rooted on the A string. These chords are all 1 bar each, and then we're finishing the chorus off with the same part as the intro, so those different voicings of the E flat dominant 7. Remember, we've got the C7 shape first, then the A7 shape, then the C shape with the higher voicing, then the little A bar shape up top. And that leads you back into the verse again. So there's only a few parts in this song. It kind of cycles between the verse and the chorus for the majority of it. The chorus is really easy to slot in once you're familiar with it. The verse takes a little bit more work, but once you've got it down, you can play along to the whole song, which is super fun. Theory-wise, I guess most of the interest in this song comes from the chord construction, so understanding how the intervals work in those D-shaped chords. I know I talked a little bit about it when we were learning the verse parts, but it might be worth, you know, getting a pen and paper out and writing down exactly what each interval is, just so you can visualize it a little bit better, and then maybe start to incorporate some of them chords into your own playing. Another interesting thing is that the verse seems to be in the key of B flat minor, but the chorus shifts to A flat major, which I guess normally would sound like a bit of an edgy shift, but it's kind of written so well that it just works quite nicely in this song. Interestingly, when you're building up on the E flat 7 in the intro and at the end of the chorus, you would expect the E flat 7 to resolve straight back to the A flat, so you'd get that kind of perfect cadence sound of 5, 1. But I think because this song's so well written and it's got such a unique sound, it just kind of powers back into that B flat minor key, and it's done really confidently as well, so as a listener you kind of just accept it and enjoy it. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at that track. As I said in the intro, it's completely different to all the other ones in this series, so hopefully it's been a nice break from the kind of intense 16th note strumming stuff, or even if you're just learning this song in isolation, I hope you've picked up some new chord voicings and managed to get those that interesting delay stuff all synced. Remember, you can download all the chord diagrams from the Patreon link below, and there's more info in the first video in this series, so do check that out. If you enjoy the lessons and find them helpful, be sure to subscribe. In the next lesson, we're getting back to the more typical kind of strummy funk stuff, so hopefully I'll see you in that one.